Hello, class. It is Tuesday, May the 24th. We're back from the long weekend. Hopefully, everyone had a fantastic long weekend. We had fabulous weather here in Sulaka. It was great, sunny. Working on my suntan. It was fantastic. I'm sure a lot of people were going out fishing, which is also great too. This is week number 6. This is PLAR History and Geography here at Wausau and Sulako. Again, my name is Jonathan. I am your teacher for this course. If you are counting down, there are 3 weeks left after this week in their term. And if you're also counting down, there are exactly 17 more school days after today. 17 more school days, 3 more weeks left until term 2B is over before we can look forward towards summer and graduation. Again, just a friendly reminder to all students, whether PLAR or not PLAR, the final deadline to submit any PLAR work is Friday, June the 17th. That includes History Geography, my section. It could be Andrea's English. It could be Jovi's Science, or it could be Bonnie's Math. So again, the deadline to submit any PLAR work is Friday, June the 17th, which is exactly 17 more school days. That is not including weekends. Again, please submit all your work before the due date. Again, any work that is submitted or handed in after this due date will not be marked until September. So again, continue to work hard. Don't be discouraged. If you need help, we're all here to help you. Again, like always, feel free to listen by radio. Feel free to call the Wausau studio if you want to listen and participate, ask questions, or need help. Again, you can always get in touch with me, your teacher, Jonathan, anytime you like. You can give me a shout during my office hours. You can fax me your assignments or any of your lessons. You can get your DCs to the same thing as well. Feel free to send me off an email. I'm always on my email in my office. Again, inbox me through Facebook. And again, all the lessons are recorded. And you can always go back to my YouTube channel or find any of our lessons on the archive page as well. Again, those are all the same. Again, we are in the geography half of this course. History is now done. We started geography last class. We are at lesson 4. And we'll finish up lesson number 4 today since lesson 4 is super short. And we'll begin lesson 5 next class on Thursday. Again, if you have internet access, feel free to log on to your smart Bridget. You can ask your DC for help if you need that. That way you can see all my slides and my illustrations. Again, if you don't have internet access or if you want a USB stick with all the lessons absolutely for free, just let us know and we can send that to you. Again, we noticed that we got Lillian on the line with us again. So hi Lillian, whether you are listening or not, or can hear me or not, I know you are there in your community in Wagamau listening somewhere. And again, that goes towards all students as well. So we're going to do a bit of review just to go through what we covered up last class. Again, class, we are at lesson number 4. We're on to the history half now. Again, this course is history and geography, not just one, but both, as both discipline, both subjects are really similar in terms of social studies. Again, I have noted that by looking at history and geography, it helps us to understand time. The time period, which year, which century, which decade we're looking at. It also helps us to understand cause and effect of different events that occurred. It also helps us to understand continuity and change, recognize and participate in a common memory, and develop a historical empathy where we understand and share common feelings. So again, Just a reminder, there'll be a lot of overlapping when looking at history and geography. Some topics we already talked about, but again, when looking at geography, a lot of definitions. Again, our learning goals for lesson 4 and lesson 5 are looking at economics geography, resource management, conservation, Canadian land formation or landscape, current topics such as global warming and climate change. We're currently looking at economics. We'll finish that up today, and then we'll move on and finish up looking at human geography. And then we'll start, like I said, lesson 5, dealing with physical geography next class. So we're going to finish up economics today and so forth. Again, we're looking at human geography. Again, lots of definitions. Again, we already went over what economics is, but in terms of human geography, it is the political, cultural branch that focus on human, how they adapt themselves to the land and to other people. So again, think of space, place, land, and people. Not outer space, but space in general. The land that we live on, the place, the community, or town, or cities, the land, the people, whether you're children, students, elders, whatnot, it all deals with economic and human geography. Again, we're looking at economics geography. It is a geographical view of economics activities, examining relations, organizations, and relations interaction within and between local, regional, world economics, and looking at locational characteristics of primary, secondary, tertiary activities are also will be evaluated, and will also be focused on some current topics as well. But our goal for today is that we're going to be looking at urbanism. We'll finish that up. We kind of started that. Well, we'll start that today, and then we'll wrap things up looking at military geography. All right, class, so that's our focus for today. Again, economics geography is a study of a widely economic conditions across the earth. It can be influenced by many, not just limited to climate. Again, climate impacts our natural resources, agricultural production, forestry, and productivity, that means our product in general. Again, we had nice weather over this past weekend here in Sioux Lookout. Again, people may have been starting to work on their gardens. I know that people are starting to cut their grass and whatnot. Again, all that goes back into climate, whether we can produce it, not produce goods and items as well. Geology, the study of rocks, landforms, again, based on our land, where we live, based on our community. It could be grassy, it could be a lot of forestry, it could be a lot of forests, could be a lot of open space. Again, that really impacts economics as well, like depending on what we have and what we don't have and what we want as well. And finally, social political factors, again, our government, laws, policies, all comes into play. Again, how much we can fish, how much we can chop down trees, whether or not we can produce fires or whatnot. Again, those all come into factors as well. Again, it all comes back into materials, products, and sales. Again, the means of productions, what we want in terms of our society, what we don't have, and how we get that product from others by trades, by selling, by producing, and whatnot. We looked at the term trade surplus. Again, a country with more goods to export to another countries than goods to import. Again, import is receiving or we're getting something, and export simply means we're giving away, we're selling it away to others because they want it. Imported and exported. We also looked at NAFTA. We looked lots about NAFTA already. Again, a free trade agreement between Canada, United States, and Mexico. Again, the purpose of this agreement is that these three countries will be able to trade goods and items back and forth without paying additional taxes or limiting or removing as much tax as possible on goods. Again, we have something here in Canada that the United States or Mexico may want, so we trade islands back and forth, back and forth. Again, with NAFTA, there comes controversies, there comes pros and cons, the good and the bad. Again, we talked about that last class, not going to go over that, but again, when looking at any agreements, there's always good and bad that comes along. And we wrapped up kind of last class looking at human rights. Again, kind of looked at it when looking at the history half, and we looked at the Bill of Rights and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which was adopted here in Canada in 1882. Again, human rights, something we have here in Canada. Not all nations or countries around the world have this, and as a result, here in Canada, we try to promote this as much as possible. Again, freedom, right to freedom, the right to earn a fair wages, regardless of your gender. You were able to move around your country freely, freedom of speech, religion, and protection from dangers. Again, those are just some examples of human rights, not limited to. Again, assignment number 9, we went over that last class. So let's continue off looking at today's focus. Went over a bit of the industry types last class, but we're going to start going over that again today. If you're following along in your textbook, this is on page 33. So find the types of industries, you can start by looking at that on page 33 in your textbook. So as you recall, or have you already looked at it, there are 3 types of industries: primary, secondary, or tertiary, 1, 2, 3. These are the 3 types of industries that we have. Again, doesn't matter where you work, you fall under one of these 3 categories: primary, secondary, tertiary. So again, class, pay close attention to these industries. You need to be able to define it, what they are, and give some examples. Okay, so define and give examples of each type. Again, like I mentioned, especially during this half of the course, geography, there are tons, and I mean tons, of definitions. So if you see me put a star beside a word, it's a good indication that you'll see it again in terms of your assignments. Lots and lots of definitions. So let's start off with the first one, primary. Primary is like the beginning where it all begins. So primary industry involves harvesting raw materials. It could be steel, wood, lumber, or it could be natural resources as well. Again, some examples of natural resources are soil, mining, animals, water into primary products. So examples, if you work within agriculture, fishing, forestry, or mining, it all falls under primary. Again, I know that fishing is a huge part up here in Silico. I noticed that tons of people were out fishing this past long weekend. I never been fishing my whole entire life. I never even touched a fishing rod. So again, something that's really popular up here, and hopefully I'll get a chance to do that very, very soon. But again, primary industry involves harvesting raw materials or natural resources into primary products. Again, it starts from somewhere. Again, agriculture, fishing, forestry, or mining. So now let's look at secondary industry. Secondary industry takes that manufactured goods that came from the primary industry, and then it turns that item or the product into goods that can be used by consumers, everyday normal people. So what's the point of chopping down a tree? That big giant tree is no use. So now that giant tree needs to be put into use. So it often involves working in large factories. Again, some examples of secondary, again, whether you're furniture manufacturer, different plants, processing food, construction, building. These are all examples of secondary industries. Again, construction. Again, we have that giant piece of tree. Again, we need to take it to a factory or plant so that we can chop it down, shave it, so that we can produce it into 2x4 lumber so that we can construct homes, other infrastructures. Again, it all starts from somewhere. So secondary is like the next step. It often involves working in large factories or plants, building, constructions, but not limited to those. That is secondary. Taking manufactured goods from primary so that we can turn it into goods so that we can use it by consumers, everyday people. And finally, tertiary, pretty much straightforward. It is known as the service industry. Any jobs that deals with people, any job that provides a service can be categorized as a tertiary industry. Again, it provides service needed by primary and secondary. A lot of people fall under this job category of the tertiary industry. Okay, it's really popular because there's 3 times as much jobs, and tertiary industry, also known as the service industry, can often be found in highly dense populated area. So any urban, major cities, lots of people, you can find a lot of service jobs. Again, some examples could be transportation, a taxi driver, a school bus driver, public transit driver, banking. Hey, you want some cash? Here's some cash. Want me to deposit that check for you? Stamp. Here we go. Again, communication, talking on the phone, talking in person. Entertainments, could be singing a song, doing some dance or whatnot. Teaching, what we do here at WASA. So myself, all the PLAR teachers, all the other teachers here at WASA, we teach, we provide a service, we educate. Again, police, help keep our community safe, enforce laws and regulations. Hospitals, nurse, hey, you're sick, here's some prescription, here's some pills, some medicine, help you get better. Again, any jobs that provides a service to the people falls under this category. Okay, so again, for another example is, I don't know, technology, an iPhone or a smartphone. Again, that phone that's in your pocket or that's next to you right now has to come from somewhere. Again, it starts in the primary industry where they're extracting minerals and rocks from the earth. So we can take that product, and then we take that product, put it into factory plants, build that particular Apple product or technology or phone or gaming console or whatnot. And afterwards, we have that item, but now we give it to the tertiary industry, the service industry, where they can sell it. That's why we go to an Apple store, we go to Fresh Market here in Silicon at Johnny's, we buy that fruits or vegetable, technology, food. Again, it all comes from somewhere. Again, service industry. Someone needs to sell that item. Again, it falls under the service industry, otherwise known as the tertiary industry. So now we're going to look at urban geography. This is the next main topic in human geography. Okay, urban geography. And once again, class, we're going to define what urban geography is. Again, Urban geography, we'll start this on page 35 in your textbook, urban geography. So what we just talked about prior to all this falls under economics, geography, again, little branching off towards human geography. It's getting a little dark outside. It looks pretty scary. Probably wants to rain or have some thunderstorm going on, but hasn't really started raining yet, but it's often getting dark and scary looking out there. So urban geography, let's define urban geography. Again, no surprise here. You'll see this again in your next assignment, and we'll go over that very shortly. Urban geography is simply the study, the examination, looking at urban settlements. In other words, how different cities, towns, communities, how they all develop, how they grow, how they shrink, how they work every single day. And that is pretty much urban geography. Basically looking at a particular city, an area or town or community. Again, it could be First Nations community as well, where they look at the population, look at the patterns within a cities, what's popular about it, what attracts people to it, why people come here, why people live there, why people do not live there, why people want to get out of that particular community or whatnot for different reasons. Okay, but more specifically, we talk about urban, highly densely populated area. But again, it's not limited to rural area, smaller communities as well. Same thing. Again, urban, again, leads to more problems, more policies, and it could lead to a quality of life, based give or take. But again, it's not limited to just big cities. We're still talking about Sioux Lookout, for example. Different communities in Northern Ontario. Could be Dryden, Ontario, which is about an hour drive from here, or it could be Thunder Bay as well. Out of all these two communities, when looking at urban geography, it kind of falls under Thunder Bay more likely compared to Sioux Lookout or Dryden. But again, we're talking about urban geography. It's not limited to smaller communities as well. We can still talk about Sioux Lookout, Dryden, or Thunder Bay as well. Dryden with the D in there. Again, the study of urban settlements, how different towns, cities, communities, how they develop, grow, looking at the populations, who live there, are there more elders, more youth, more students, more families, different reasons. Urban geography. Comes urban geography, we'll look at ecological footprint. Ecological footprint. Ecological footprint is the amount of product land required to support lifestyle of an individual, country, or a business. The amount of product land that we need in order to make us satisfied. As urban area grow and becomes popular, it increase in price. For example, in Toronto, very popular major city in Canada, lots of high-rise houses. Again, as that particular urban area grows and becomes more popular, it increases in price as well. So again, if you want to buy a house in Toronto, for example, it is super expensive. Even in Vancouver, houses there is super expensive. Again, as it grows popularity, attracts people, it becomes more expensive as well. Again, with urban geography, again, with increase in population, it increases in problems as well. Problems such as pollution. Again, more people, more cars, more factories, more jobs, more pollution. Again, that can impact our health, our environment, our ecological system. Again, more problems can be garbage, more people, more garbage. Where are we going to put that garbage? Okay, question. Okay, more waste. Again, leads to more problems. Again, expansion. As an urban area grows, that city, that town grows, it needs to expand. As it expands, again, we need to chop down more trees, sacrifice forests, sacrifice all these others so that it can expand. And as a result, there's loss in farmland and loss in forestry as well. So again, it impacts not just that particular urban settlement or city, it impacts our whole ecosystem as well. Calculating your ecological footprint. So simply, if you Google ecological footprint, there are tons of websites out there where you can calculate how much land you use every single day or how that impacts the earth every single day. Again, there's tons of websites out there. Again, I ask questions such as, do you eat meat? Do you walk? Do you take a plane? Do you drive? Questions such as that, and eventually calculates how much space you need in order to make you satisfied every single day. So for example, housing. Okay, what kind of house you live in? Is it a massive house with 2 floors, tons of bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, a walk-in closet? Again, where do you live in a city? Roads, infrastructures. Again, how much space you need. Agriculture, food. Again, food, animals need food too. Fishing, again, that impacts our aquatic system. If we're fishing a lot, again, takes that mammal or that species out of our system. Again, forests, construction, furniture, paper, firewood, whether you eat meat, whether you're a vegetarian or vegan. If you eat meat products, again, we need animal products on our land, dairy products, or whatnot. And fossil fuel, again, do you walk to work? Do you bike to work? Do you take public transit to work? Again, if you walk to work every single day, again, you have a smaller ecological footprint as it impacts the environment less. Whereas if you drive to work every single day, it impacts the environment and the earth more, for example. Okay, that's pretty much how an ecological footprint works. It just calculates how much space you need on the planet for your everyday lifestyle. Quality of life in society. Quality of life in society. This is on page 35 still, but it's at the bottom. Bottom of page 35. Quality of life in society. Pretty much means whether you're happy, healthy, or have good fortune, prosperous in your lifestyle. Again, whether you're happy, if you're happy and have a big smile on your face, that really reflects your life expectancy to a certain extent. Again, having a better quality of life tends to lead to a longer lifestyle. So again, be happy, whether you like something, love something, laughing at something, going yeah at something, but not being sad or being angry. So for example, here in Canada, our beautiful country of ours, coast to coast, here in Canada, we are considered a developed country. We tend to have a higher quality or high life expectancy, where people live up to around 65, 70, or 70 plus, give or take, which is great because other countries around the world, such as less developed countries, don't have that satisfactory of having a higher life expectancy, where their life expectancy could be around 50, give or take, based on what they have, based on the circumstance, and whatnot. But again, it all goes back into that fundamental of being happy, having a healthy lifestyle, exercising or eating healthy, um, doing things you love every day, um, living life to the fullest, not taking things for granted. Again, that all comes into play in terms of quality of life in society. Um, again, because all that really impacts our health and long-term life. Again, simply just being happy and how that reflects our life. So here in Canada, for example, we have a slow growing population. Um, I believe our population is around 35 or 36 million. Again, that number won't be growing as exponentially anytime soon. Again, population of Canada is around 35 or 36 million, give or take. Again, we don't have a giant growing population. Um, in terms of family, there are fewer children being born. Again, back in the day, each family had like 5 to 7 children. Nowadays, maybe one, maybe two, three, give or take. Again, fewer children are being born. For example, of that can be seen within any school system as the number of students being enrolled into school is declining, which means that there are less new schools being built and less jobs for teachers, give or take. Again, just some examples. But again, here in Canada, overall, people tend to live longer, higher quality of life, where people live up to the age of 65 or higher, because again, the quality of life we have here in Canada. Again, it all depends on schooling, getting an education, and having healthcare. Again, here in Canada, we have, for example, we have everything that we need and more. Again, we have cars, we have food, we have great weather here and there, except for wintertime. But we have access to technologies. We have great government making great policies and laws that helps everyone in terms of equity and equalities, supporting one another, caring for one another, whether we're children or an elder. Again, we all have that here in Canada. Just think about it. Um, it's just great living here in Canada. Again, comparing to other countries where they are less developed, again, they could be in a crisis, not happy with the government, may not have the same access to clean water, housing, education, or healthcare system. Again, we all have that here in Canada to a certain extent. We should be happy, should be fortunate for it. But again, some countries, a lot of nations around the world don't have that same freedom as we do. Came across this stat one day. The number of people who go bankrupt every year because of medical bills. You can see that Canada is zero. If you look at the United States, for example, tons, because they don't have free healthcare like we do. Again, this is not an exact representation of what we have here in Canada. There are other factors may come into play, but again, you could take into account that yes, here in Canada, we have free healthcare, which is great. Again, that all goes back into quality of life. I came across this quote one day. I want to write it out because I think it's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I came across this quote and it says, education does not change the world. Education changes people, and people change the world. End quote. And that quote was from Paulo Freire. Again, you can look up his name. I believe he's a famous person here and there. But again, I came across this quote and I thought it was fantastic. Again, education does not change the world. Education changes people. People change the world. Again, hence why education is fantastic. So again, for all students out there, pat yourself on the back. You guys are working extremely hard. Again, there are only 3 more weeks left in this term before term 2B is over. Again, whether you're progressing a lot or progressing slowly, you're still making that jump, still progressing, which is fantastic. And again, all that hard work will eventually pay off. How do I know? Been there, done that. And yes, it is currently pouring cats and dogs here in Sulagout, thundering. Weather's not being happy with us, not cooperating, but yeah, it's raining outside. We are going to wrap up today's class looking at the last main topic in human geography, and that is military geography. Military geography. What we're going to talk about in terms of military geography is something that we kind of already talked about, and that begins on page 36 in your textbook. Military geography. So what is military geography, you may ask? Well, let's define it. Let's go over it. Military geography is a specialized field when looking in and examining and exploring, analyzing geography. Military geography deals with natural and man-made physical features that may affect planning and conduct of military operations. I'll say that one more time. Deals with natural and man-made physical features that may affect planning and conduct of military operations. So, for example, if you think back and look at our history section, example of military geography will be the UN, the United Nations. United Nations. It consists of different countries involved within this organization. Impacts different countries and nations around the world. Again, the purpose of the UN is to, again, promote peace, security, and economic development. Peace, security, economic development. Again, that is the UN. We went over what UN is in our history half. But again, an example of military geography is the UN. Dealing with natural and man-made physical features that may affect planning and conduct of military operations. In other words, how do we keep one another safe? What happens if a crisis or war breaks out? What kind of actions or plans that we have in store so that we can help and protect one another? Again, within the UN comes the Security Council. The Security Council was developed by 5 nations: United States, Britain, China, France, and Russia. When a crisis happens, these 5 nations, United States, Britain, China, France, and Russia, are part of the Security Council. They are called into session to respond quickly to international crisis when something happens. Again, as you recall, class, Canada's role within the UN and a part of the Security Council is mainly peacekeeping. That's Canada's role, something we take for granted. Again, protecting civilians in war, disaster. We supply medicine, food, clothing, shelter to those that are in need. Help those in poverty. Help those who are less fortunate, may not have the everyday access to life. We give that to them and help do that as well. And finally, we promote human rights. Human rights. Again, we talk about human rights, what they are. We have them here in Canada. Again, not all countries in the world have it. So again, we try to promote it so that they can follow our step as well. Military geography. We are going to wrap things up by looking at Commonwealth Nations. Again, this is part of military geography to an extent, but Commonwealth of Nations is simply any independent sovereign state that once had ties or connections to the British Empire. So, for example, Canada is a part of the Commonwealth. Why is Canada part of the Commonwealth? Because we once have connections, ties to the British Empire. We were once a colony of the British Empire, but now we are an independent sovereign state. So any nations that is now an independent sovereign state that have and rule within their own sovereignty and that once had ties or territories a part of the British Empire, they are considered Commonwealth of Nations or a part of this organization. Again, once controlled by Britain, but now gain their own independence. For example, boom, us, Canada. They still maintain ties with one another, and more specifically, still maintain ties with Britain. All nations under the Commonwealth recognize Queen Elizabeth II as the head of state, just the head of state, common figure. However, Queen Elizabeth II has no political power within any of the nations. She's just a symbol of unity, something that we have in common. Again, Commonwealth nations, they promote diverse economic backgrounds. They also promote democracy in terms of a political ideology, human rights, again, the right to freedom, speech, such forth, and good governance. Again, all nations within the Commonwealth provides friendship, leadership, and partnership towards one another. But again, class, Commonwealth nation, independent sovereign state, formerly territory of the British Empire. In other words, once controlled by Britain, now gain their own independence. Again, what they have in common, diverse economic background, promote democracy, human rights, and good governance. In your textbook, there is a map that indicates which countries around the world are part of the Commonwealth. And it looks something like this. So anyone that's highlighted in dark blue are considered part of the Commonwealth. Again, you can see Canada, we are part of the Commonwealth. The United Kingdom, obviously. Lots of parts of Africa. Again, they were once ruled by Britain. Parts of Southeast Asia, Australia, and so forth. Again, all have connections or once a part of the colony of the British Empire, but now gain their own independence. So how do countries qualify to be a part of the Commonwealth? Simply, if they to qualify to be a part of the Commonwealth, again, simply they have to once have connections to the British Empire or once ruled by Britain at some point. But in other words, if they promote democracy, human rights, a diverse economic background, partnership, friendship, and whatnot, they could simply apply and be part of the Commonwealth as well. With that being said, here are a list of some countries that were once a part of the British Empire but are not a part of the Commonwealth. Again, even though they have the same political ideology and lifestyles like other Commonwealth nations, but these countries, not limited to, do not belong to the British. Sorry, do not belong or part of the Commonwealth, and they are Egypt, Jordan, United States, Iraq, Kuwait, Hong Kong, and France. And there are some argues and some debates, such as France. France should be a part of the Commonwealth because they promote the same political, cultural identity within the Commonwealth, but they are not a part of the Commonwealth. Egypt, Jordan, United States, Iraq, Kuwait, Hong Kong, and France. Just some countries listed, but not limited to. So that pretty much wraps up today's lesson. So we're going to go over right now, class, assignment number 10 questions. Assignment number 10 questions. Question number 1, what is primary industry? Give examples of this type of industry. So in other words, tell me what primary industries are and give examples. Okay, a mark for telling me what it is, and another mark for giving me some examples. Okay. Question 2, what is secondary industry? Again, define it, tell me what it is, and then again, give some examples. And I'll ask you guess, what is tertiary industry for question number 3? Again, define it, explain it, and give some examples. Again, class, full complete sentences. Again, all the answers can be found inside your textbook. So again, please make sure you go back, read the textbook, all the answers are there. Or simply, if you have been listening, participating in class, all the answers are discussed or covered in our lessons. So go back, look at my slides, all the answers are there as well. Question number 4, what is urban geography? Again, more definitions, explain it. Again, details, a study of urban settlements, looking at populations, its pattern, and looking at the quality of life. 2 marks. Question number 5, what is quality of life? What is quality of life? The state of being happy, having a big smile on your face, prosperous, looking for good fortunes and luck in life. Being happy in life tends to live or leads to a higher quality of life or higher standard of living. Canada, for example, is a country that has quality of life in society. Question number 6. What is military geography? Again, tell me what it is, explain it, full marks for full details. So for example, you can start by saying military geography is the study of ... Okay. Military geography is the study or the examination or the look at ... Okay, that's all I'm looking for. Details for complete sentences. No surprises there. Question 7. what is Canada's role within the United Nations Security Council? Again, we kind of went over that within the history half, but in other words, peacekeeping. In other words, what we give to other countries, what we promote, what we provide, such as that. 2 marks. And lastly, question number 8. Oh, look at that. The sound of thunder. Scary. Question number 8. Describe the Commonwealth of countries or nations. Include who is entitled to be a member. Why is Canada part of this organization? And tell me 4 countries that do not belong, even though they may qualify. So, for example, Commonwealth, Commonwealth countries or nations are ... Again, have links. Have ties or once linked to the British Empire. Canada qualifies, or Canada is a part, because simply we were once a part of the British Empire. Again, 4 countries . 4 countries that qualify but are not are ... Again, provide lots. There are lots of examples in the textbook. Just give me 4. That's all it is. Again, details, answer what's being asked, and you will receive full marks. Okay, class? So next class on Thursday, we will start lesson number 5. Okay, so that pretty much means that lesson number 4 is now done. It's now in the books. Human geography is now done. For the remainder of this course, we'll be looking at lesson number 5, looking at physical geography. Lots of topics that will be discussed and covered in this section. We'll work on it. Again, just a reminder, there are 3 more weeks left in this course, 17 more school days. So again, continue to work hard on those assignments, submit them when you get a chance. If you need help, again, let us know. We're here to help. This has been PLAR History and Geography at Wausau. It is pouring outside right now, which means that I have to walk home in this pouring rain. Hopefully I don't get too soaked. Other than that, Barb Matusik is up next with her class, as always. And I'll see everyone right back here on Thursday. Stay safe and stay dry, and I'll see everyone on Thursday. Thank you.